Welcome to Plato's Cave on WCCR, coming to you from Australia, right next to Mordor. For Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. It's home to fresh ideas. Well, some are warmed up, maybe a little bit of the microwave. It's okay, it's good. As long as the conversations are flowing, which they are in the chat room. The station doesn't get any money from the government, corporations, the military-industrial complex, or the moon people. So, if you like what you hear, and not just us, but everybody, then donate if you can. If you can't, tell people about the station. That helps a lot. True story. That. Today is the 16th of January. Say that 50 times real fast, and the word loses all meaning. 2024. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time, and onto your smart device. You just capture it. Just get a little butterfly that you capture that show. Rah! Grab an app. You can grab any app, really, these days. Listen anywhere, including the International Space Station. Or in the comfort of your own home, with your feet up and a nice cup of cocoa on the Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. Archives are free, which is another good reason to either donate or tell people about the station. Before we start broadcasting it, you're in anger, and we are angry this morning. We are angry. I love the smell of anger in the morning. We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's the Bundjalung.
Oh, okay. And for myself, it's the Dark people. And we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. As you might have just noticed, we are back in our home territories.
I'm not.
Dave is not. I'm back in my home.
Yes, you are.
That's plural.
Yeah, right.
It took me 3 and a bit hours to drive home this afternoon. Yeah, it's a long drive when you're doing it.
You've had a bit of rain too, eh? Down there, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Not on the drive so much, though, so that was good. I was lucky. It's a fairly dry drive. What's a dry drive, Dave?
I think we nearly had 20 centimetres or 200 mil of rain.
2,000 millimetres?
2,000 millimetres.
20,000 millimetres?
No, not at all. Just 200 mil.
That's not what happened. Shut up, Mick. I'll tell you what, though. Sorry.
We might as well just be underwater at that point.
I got my snorkel. I'm good. Nothing can. See, this is the thing. I was thinking about this, right? If the world were to be inundated, right, for argument's sake, just give yourself some flippers and a snorkel. It'll pop up like a cork. It's easy. That's how you do it, huh?
Uh-huh.
You're welcome. Okay, you're welcome. Mic drop.
Go.
Done. Just get a snorkel. No, look. I tell you what. First things first, Dave. I do love Australia, but I don't love all of Australia.
You like the sunburnt country?
I do like all of Australia, but I love very specific parts of Australia. So I do love, I guess, what you would call the non-metropolitan Australia. I do love it. I spent some days up in I guess Salamander Bay, Nelson's Bay. That's sort of like a peninsula just off Newcastle. Like I said, about 2.5, 3 hours drive from Sydney, where I live. And people are really friendly. And not like a fake friendly. They're just friendly. It's like I was parking my car this morning, really early morning, right? Like, I don't know, 7 or whatever. Pretty early for holidays. And I was just parking my car and I was going to the machine to pay for parking. There's a lady, and there's just her and me in the street, pretty much, right? There's a couple of coffee shops, but it's only her and me. And she's, well, love, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't start till 8 or 8:30 or whatever it was. And go, oh, really? Yeah, just look at the sign. So I looked at the sign, which I didn't do before. Oh, thank you. You're right. So that was very nice. Very friendly. And people say good morning to you when you see them in the street. Hi, good morning. Never see him in my life. Never, don't know from a bar of soap, but yeah, good morning. No, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. People in the shops are friendly, not just because they want your money.
Well, it is good and friendly morning.
Right?
You feel it, and when you
I
feel
know.
it, you tell others.
I know. And they stay friendly even after you paid them. It's amazing.
Even after.
Yeah.
That's an IT crowd joke.
It's
Did she still talk to you after you fixed her computer? No.
I know, right? That's so my life. But it really is, or was at least.
Mhm.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to be. Oh, look, I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for this, but in the Sydney metropolitan area, right? I haven't seen a white face inside a petrol station for years. As an owner, I mean, like an owner operator. Not for years.
Yeah.
Not for years. I mean, it's not for years and years. And up there, it's just white people, and I'm thinking, oh, why is that? And then I realized that in country Australia, while you have different races there present as well, the majority is still, I guess, what you would call Caucasian in appearance. And that reminded me of what Australia, or even Sydney, was like 36 years ago when I came to Australia.
When you cross the Hawkesbury River, I'm telling you, it all changes.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. So yes, we are a massive immigration country. We are. We've got something like a million people coming in every year, or 200,000, or whatever the latest statistics are. I can't remember. Obviously, during COVID, nobody came in. But most people seem to get stuck in the major cities. So Sydney.
What if you sent a single
Sydney, right? And then you get stuck in Melbourne, you get stuck in Brisbane. You might even make it a bit further, but that's pretty much it. Right? That's where you get stuck. West Coast, Perth, maybe. A lot of Asian influences, of course, on the top end, but that makes sense because of proximity. That's just how it is, right? But yeah, it's quite astounding. It's very cosmopolitan, very global in the Sydney metropolitan area, Melbourne, etc. as well. But countryside, and again, I don't get out often enough, which I just realized as well. As I was looking over the countryside, the bushland, as I discussed with you on Sunday. But yeah, it was weird. It was kind of weird. I'll be honest with you, Dave. It was kind of weird. It was kind of, yeah, okay.
I hear you. I'll match your weirdness. You cross the Hawkesbury River, and Commodores, the car, not the singing group.
Aye, sir.
Holden Commodores become more prevalent.
That's
And
actually true.
all 800 kilometres further north than just crossing the Hawkesbury River, they're the majority on the street. That and Fords, the two cars that Australia produced locally, the predominant. Let's call them species of cars. There's a species of human that drives them, and I too drive a Commodore, so I can't I shouldn't throw stones, but I'm just, my point is the foreign cars imported in Australia, it doesn't matter what it is anymore, because we don't produce any. But that whole imported car group of people just don't exist. They don't exist up here. They're tourists if they do.
Okay.
Yeah, does it make sense? So, it's kind of good, I suppose. I'm just driving around looking at all the cars that I could use as spares, as donor cars. So, that's all I'm doing. I can't help it. But we've had a lot of rain, and it hasn't stopped raining, and it's not going to stop apparently for a week, and we could get some more floods up here.
Which is interesting because, as you all know, this is 2023 was, I should say, the hottest year globally speaking. Please understand, this is globally speaking, right? And this is not my data. I'm just repeating it like a parrot. Hottest. But look, look, you can either believe it or not. That's entirely up to you. But scientists seem to report that it was. Here in Australia, well, we had places that were really hot, like the west coast, up the top end as well. The east coast of Australia has been inundated with 2,000. I'm not making this up. 2,000 millimeters of rain. 2,000 millimeters. I still can't get over that. But the point is this: we will experience with these changing patterns extreme weather. We'll experience an unusual weather, like what we would consider unusual in the olden days. In fact, there's a cyclone forming.
That's right, near Darwin.
Yeah. I mean, what? But it's certainly
it's nearly 1,000 kilometers across. If you noticed.
It's massive.
It's massive.
And the thing is, we will see weather patterns changing, and this is another wet summer for us. I'm not complaining because the alternative would have been horrific bushfires. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, but still.
Well, when it wasn't cloudy, we were hitting the high 30s, low 40s. So,
oh yeah.
So yes, and poor Western Australia is just copying it.
Oh, it is hot.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, here in Sydney, so starting on Thursday, we will be in the 30s.
Yeah,
again.
36 through to next Tuesday.
Yeah. So it is some heat coming our way.
Sucker.
But
did I say that out loud?
No.
I shouldn't say that because I live in a house at the moment with no air conditioning, and it's been 90% humidity, and cold. I mean, in the 20s. It's very nice. As soon as we get to the 30s, I'm just going to set up in the pool. I have my laptop next to the pool.
Not a bad idea.
And just stay in there.
But what's really happening is that Dave is getting ready, for when everything just shuts down. I don't need air conditioning. Who are you? 60 degrees in the shade. I don't care.
Well, I'm acclimatizing slowly. Takes a while.
That's what it is. I sleep in my oven. That's what. What? Turn on the fan. It's hotter.
That conversation we had last week about Gladiators, the TV show.
Oh yes.
I don't have any streaming services, so I'm watching free to air, and I watched an episode, and I swear it hasn't changed since the 90s. It's the same show. I know it tried a season in 2007 or something, and it didn't get anywhere, and they're trying it again. Because I think we're at the point where we need to have something that we can, scream at the TV for. It's only a couple of deaths away from Hunger Games, because we're watching, people compete.
You know what I want
on screen, right?
Just
regular folk. These aren't athletes.
Always in your favor. No, but I'm really upset, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, it's a reboot of something that I thought was, it's like honestly a complete waste of time. You might as well just watch Gogglebox or whatever.
I prefer It's a Knockout.
It's a knockout.
Or in America, you might know the show as Wipeout.
Wipeout. That was actually and I like the ninja stuff as well. Like the people that are competing on these courses. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah, they're amazing.
It's very similar to Knockout.
But see, they're athletes, Mackie.
Yeah, completely.
These are regular folk with some padding.
Yeah, that are going up against muscle-bound.
That's right.
Destruction machines.
I swear, the lady that is dressed up like, I don't know, like an angel. I think her name is Angel. Mm-hmm. She could bench press. 200 kilos.
She could bench press
me.
You.
Yeah, me. and she must weigh upwards of 200 pounds.
Oh, look, no, she's not a.
She's not slight. She's not slight. She hides. They've hidden all of her muscles with all their clothing, but my goodness.
I don't take steroids. Okay, now come on my date, you lovely boy.
But that sounds just like
What?
Bev Francis. She was Australia's greatest heavyweight, muscle-bound, Miss Universe competitor.
Okay.
Back from the
That'll do
80s,
ya.
when I used to do bodybuilding, Mackie.
Yeah, I know. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But, looking at these people, the regular folk have not a chance of winning against them. Just forget it.
I think they should get weapons, is my opinion. But I do
Well,
wish,
there's
though,
Hunger
this-
Games, and look, I'd watch that.
Oh, look,
That's my problem, you see, Mackie. I have to struggle with. I would watch Hunger Games because I believe we've all been conditioned to like it.
No,
It's
no,
it's no different, Mackie. I thought we'd come such a long way since throwing Christians to the lions and
no, we've always
yes,
liked
and beheadings
Still,
and stonings.
the Germans, as you know, as the Simpsons have told all of you, have a word for that. It's called Schadenfreude, which is to take delight in someone else's misfortune, right?
Yeah.
And delight is really the right word here. So it is something deep within our psyche, deep within our psyche, that makes us gawk at accidents, that makes us watch America's Funniest Home Videos, where everybody's falling down or breaking something or getting kicked in the private parts or something.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, rest his soul, he would laugh the deepest belly laugh on these things. Now, so we have that streak in us, and I believe a large part of that is because it's not you, right? It's not me.
Yeah, that's right. I'm laughing because it isn't me. Yeah.
And that's just who we are, and they've always tapped into that, Dave, that very human nature that we have. But I'm really sorry, but the real reason I'm upset is because there's nothing new. Nobody ever comes up with anything new, neither in movies or in. It's too risky. Well, you're not wrong. They're bringing back Beverly Hills Cop. This one actually was okay. I mean, Coming to America, that was the second one was.
And it's a
Coming to
Ghostbusters,
America.
a new Ghostbusters with as much of the original cast as they could muster.
No, as are still alive.
That are above ground, yes.
I'm sorry.
That was the best way I could put it.
It's yeah. So we now know for a fact, right? There's no argument anymore. This is only about money. That's all it is. Nobody else cares about the art or the message or whatever else have you. It's about the money. It's the money. It's the money. It's the money. If there's no prospect of you making any money, then it's just not going to happen. And a few actors, the famous ones, they do these big budget blockbuster movies, which they might actually not like at all. So they can make the smaller independent movies as well. So I think Keanu Reeves is one. I think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they did that, and a few others as well. And I dig it, man. I dig it. You need to make the cash in order to do the things that you really want to do, right? The important, which of course then gets completely lost in the noise, and nobody watches those important movies. Well, it's true, I mean, who cares, right? It's just nuts. I watched this show the other day. They went to these houses, and then they went to this one house. That's sort of after that house, I did something else. I don't know if there was something else, but this house cost $100 million. $100 million, right?
That's a lot of money.
It's a few nuggets. And it's in the Hollywood Hills overlooking LA, I think, bits or kind of. It's massive, it's huge, and inside it's all, I mean, it's an astounding house. It's Justin Timberlake's house.
Sure.
And you go, clearly, and you're thinking, that's about a house for a person, and that brings me back to my yeah, I know, right? Oh well, I mean, plus the 50,000 people that lived in to serve him, but you have to ask yourself, that opulence and I don't know, maybe waste, but it's these kind of riches for a person that sings for a living and maybe acts as well. Our society and then Gladiator feeds into this. All the movies that are remakes. Our society has lost its way. It lost its way a long time ago, because in the olden days, the people that were important would get the sponsorship and the money, like the scientists, believe it or not, and the people, musicians like Mozart or Beethoven or whatever, right? They would get the sponsorship, Mozart died like 300 years ago. We still listen to his stuff, right? It still touches us, And then we just talk about the Western stuff. There's much more in the other cultures as well, of course. But today, we play. Freudian slip there. We pay a person that is really good at kicking a ball hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah.
Or we pay people that entertain us, or that that make us feel less depressed about our lives, such enormous amounts of money that the mind truly boggles. These are not people curing cancer or going to the moon or exploring Mars. No. This is people that play a game or play an instrument or sing or act in a movie or whatever it might be.
They stop revolts, Mickey.
Well, I think that is true.
They're entertaining us. They're paying them so that we forget about the oppression.
Yeah, there's definitely a pacification element to it. I think you're right. And maybe it took a while to skew it this way as well, because it hasn't been. It really only started when you had a means of producing mass media.
Mm-hmm.
When I say mass media, I mean media that could reach a whole bunch of people at the same time. And the first time we could do this, really do this, was radio.
Yeah.
Before that, there are few, I guess, tens of thousands of people that fit in the Colosseum, right?
Mm-hmm.
The small arenas were smaller, of course. Books could reach a wider audience, but that's very slow, right? The printing press certainly, sped things up, but you couldn't reach all that many people at the same time, even within an acceptable time frame, I guess, right? Newspapers tried to, but again, that was, beyond city limits, it was hard to get newspapers on that same day, right, for that area. So it was radio, really. Radio was the first thing that allowed us to do it. Then it was it was actually the movies, right? And then the talkies.
That's
when
right.
Movies became more. Theaters packed in a few hundred people, no more than that, right? And all of a sudden, when you had cinemas opening up, where the same movie would start in 1,000 cities on the same day,
that's right.
Or television programs would be broadcast to millions, hundreds of millions of people at the same time, right? There's something was a billion people watching the soccer, or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. Syndication and going across very large, areas of population.
Yeah, so it's not a very new phenomenon. That's my point, right?
No.
But we have not grown up with it. But just think of the power that these people now have over us. Dave sent this to me years ago. It was a montage of the same words for the same news story coming out of 50 different mouths.
That's right.
And obviously, what's happening is that the media is owned by a few small concerns, corporations, individuals, etc. Very, very few. And they give you whatever message they like. And it has really gotten to a point where it's all pervasive. It's all pervasive. And you would think that the internet has fragmented it. No, not at all. It has lensed in on you, on your specific thing.
It's now tailored for you.
Completely.
Well, and let's rephrase that. The tailoring goes to the extent of not only a social profile, a psychiatric profile, and can steer you.
Oh yeah.
Even against your will, you don't even know what's happening.
Oh, completely. and you get opinions. See, the thing is, people talk about confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Let's not for a second. Let's unpack this because, and again, it's a phrase that Dave uses quite a bit.
I love
it's an inherited opinion.
Inherited opinion.
Yeah. So most people, right, I'm being very broad here, don't really have opinions. Not really. They have some opinions, some deeply held beliefs, but not a lot. Most of their opinions come from somewhere else, but they don't know that. And they think they're their own opinions. Right? And that's when confirmation bias comes in. Then they look for things that confirm whatever they've been spoon-fed by the media. Right? Oh, yeah. Because the one thing that's happening right now, more than anything else, Hamas, the Houthis,
that's right.
even attack on Iraq, all mention Iran in a negative light. All of them. I mean, we are painting Iran now, right? The target painting with the laser light. That's what we're doing here. And all the experts are coming together saying, like I said, I think on Sunday,
we'll be at war against Iran in a minute.
Sorry?
We'll be at war against Iran in a minute, and no one will have hated it. Yeah.
In fact, Iran was the last one. I think Iran.
It is on the last. That's the last one on the list. Yeah.
And they're blaming the Hamas attack.
Oh, you got to blame someone.
On Iran. Iran was apparently steering it. Wow, really? That's like saying Osama bin Laden and
Here we go.
Saddam Hussein.
That's right.
Were in league. Now, I'm not saying that Iran doesn't support Hamas financially. I just don't think. Look, it doesn't matter. The point is, Iran is being painted, and I will tell you here right now, it'll be mere weeks before this escalates into something it shouldn't be. Okay? They're going to find evidence that the Houthis are getting all their orders from Iran, and the Hamas people and the Hezbollah people getting all of their orders from Iran, and Iran is, attacking Iraq and Israel will strike back, and before long, we will be at war with Iran, because already we have started actions. When I say we, like UK, US, Australia, we have started actions against Yemen. So that's happening.
That's right.
Okay, and the strikes are underway, etc., etc.
I mean, I thought it was bad, Mackie, when Saudi Arabia was bombing Yemen. Now we're bombing Yemen.
I mean, it's...
Like, hang on a minute.
But the funny thing is this. I mean, do we understand what happened here? So the Houthis, which are a minority in Yemen, were actually oppressed by the Yemeni government because they had a slightly different flavor of Islam, if you will, right? And they're slightly different ethnically. And they said, no, I've had it. So what they did is that they took the north, most of the north, and actually held it. They've held it since, I think, 2014, right? The Houthi rebels. So they have a legitimate grievance. They have a legitimate grievance against the government that was oppressing them, right? So you can twist it any which way you want. And Iran, because they happen to be believing in the same kind of God, helped them out. So it's, and again, it is Iran's. And this is not new. This has been playing for a couple hundred years. Well, not quite a couple hundred, but ever since the end of the Ottoman Empire, somebody tried to be in charge of the Middle East. Right? The West has tried, Iraq, Iran, everybody has tried, Saudi Arabia, everybody's tried to be in the charge. No one is in charge of the Middle East, but Iran is trying to. And the funny thing is this: these nation states, these nation state actors, have always used. Well, it depends on your point of view if you call them terrorists or freedom fighters, but they've always used these organizations, right, in order to coerce other nation states, never directly confronting them. And of course there were wars, but the nation state players have always used organizations like the PKK, the Kurdish Workers' Party, for example, right? Like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like the PLO during Arafat's time as well, and other organizations, other groups. They were always used by nation states to exert influence in the region. And be, I guess, trading pieces on a board that you could, make deals over. That's always been It's always been the game in that area, and it hasn't changed. It's still the same game. But now, Dave, what Yemen is doing, bad Houthis, they're hurting our bottom line. They're hurting our bottom.
They're hurting our bottom. Yeah. So
They're hurting our bottom line.
So, like I'm going to repeat again, I didn't like it that Saudi Arabia was bombing Yemen, and now we're bombing them. Now, I didn't vote for anything, right? I didn't want that to be the case. That's just the way the world has changed. And you're so right, Mackie. Every time something happens in the world, and because it's only escalating, there hasn't been a moment in the last 2 years that things haven't escalated further.
Yeah.
So, who knew? So right now, we weren't involved. Now we are involved, and now the Iran's got the laser, like it's being targeted, right, as the bad people, and I'm seeing on free to air. God help me, I hate ads. On free to air, I'm seeing military enlistment ads, and I'm just thinking we're so close. I thought we were close yesterday. You know that expression when Han Solo is about to get stuffed inside the Luke's about to get stuffed inside the Tauntaun, and Han grabs the lightsaber and cuts the Tauntaun down the middle, and all of its guts start to spill out, and he goes, I thought they smelt bad on the outside, right? Well, I thought everything was bad before. Now it's worse. That's, geopolitically. And I can't see any end to this except for a global conflict. I mean, we just keep marching towards it. Hello?
I'm here.
Yep, good. Well, that was the end of my point.
Oh, sorry, brother.
I was reaffirming the point, you see.
No, look, I'm quietly dismayed, though, and the reason I am, Dave, is because we're heading into because the thing is, if this actually escalates to the point where it might, the entire Middle East is going to be in flames. Okay. Because Israel is going to get in, and then every other.
It'll be game on, stacks on, right?
Look, Russia will be in. China most likely will be in.
Well, Russia's got their couple of tanks and a couple of planes left, sure.
Whatever's there.
They lost some more of their naval vessels and some of their, those AWACS, we call them?
Yeah.
It's a plane with a big disc sitting on top of it, yeah. They lost one of those and another listening plane this week. So.
Yeah, which is quite a feat for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, because it had to go across the entirety of the claimed land and the sea as well to get to it, but it did,
It's again. Of course, it was. They say it was probably a Patriot system that did it, but nonetheless, I mean, it shows that the Ukrainians do have. I mean, this is the second year now, obviously. Right? In fact, we're going into the third year very soon of this ill-fated invasion. And
hey,
still.
Wait! I've got something here because I saw a Joe Rogan thing on one of his guests said, "How did World War One start?" And he does a really quick 15-second breakdown of the teenager that went rogue that shot a dude, right? And that's it. Yeah, it was always boiling, but it got to that point. What was it? Franz Ferdinand, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it was a teenager that went rogue that did it in the end. And it was just that's how stupid, and millions of people, and really no one gained anything.
No, that's.
And it was 30 million lost, right?
I think that's
Nuts.
about right.
Yeah.
Completely insane. But we haven't really gotten any smarter. The only thing we've gotten better at is killing each other. Like our capacity to inflict damage has grown exponentially since then. I mean, think about it, Dave. If you think about the methods of destructions that were employed, over the centuries and
Yes.
most recently in the world wars,
Mhm.
it pales in comparison to what we can do today.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that is terrifying. It really is, because once this is unleashed, and we're not even talking about biological or chemical things yet, even nuclear. I'm just talking about conventional weapons, right? The things, the fire rate, the size of the conventional bombs that we have. The biggest ones are so big that though there's no radiation, there's an electromagnetic pulse
That's right.
that is generated by the force of the explosion.
And
I mean,
neutron bombs too. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They just wipe out all the living things.
All the lives.
Yeah, yeah. But not. I wouldn't put it past any competing country in a world war to abandon the human rights charter.
Oh, that's the first. What do you mean? The toilet paper we've been having? No, brother. That's look. Again, we have these high-minded ideas as a species,
as a civilized nation.
Yeah. We have the Geneva Conventions. That's good. That's good. We have all the UN bodies. That's good. International Court of Justice. That's good. Right? It's all good. International courts of law. That's good. We have international agreements and sanctions. That's good.
I've got one that wasn't good. The League of Nations, Mackie.
The League of Nations, that didn't work out.
Let's just have all the nations just debate their problems in open court. And how did that go? Oh, not real well.
But leagues, that's so yesterday. No one calls anything a league anymore, right?
Oh.
This is the United
Superhero League.
That's it. Actually does remind. When I hear the League of Nations, I do think of these 1940s superheroes banding together.
That's right.
The owl and the cat and the night stalker. And but I wonder, because the thing is this: the United Nations is going to fall apart at some point, right?
Yeah.
Next big conflict. I just wonder what name they're going to think up then. It's just, I don't know.
Whatever it is that whoever it is that wins can do whatever they want, as long as those people who thought that action was bad no longer exist.
That's true.
Right? Because then they get to write history.
Yeah.
They get to write it, whatever they want.
Whatever I like.
Yeah. We exterminated all the evil people on the planet. Now we're the winners.
That's right.
You and me, right?
Yeah, that's
you and me, the other two last survivors, and
the three-legged dog. That's it.
And it's pity we're both male. So yeah.
Very good.
It was a good run. Alive.
It was a good run while we had it. Let's just put it out there. The thing is that there won't be terribly many people left, and in fact, we might be at one of those access points again, like we were 15,000 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where, and in fact, look, I believe that civilization was much further back than that.
Yes.
We just don't have much knowledge left of it, and let's say this destruction comes our way, be it tomorrow in 50 years or 100 years time, and it will claw our way back from the Stone Age, and in another 10,000 years after that, we'll find all these things, and of course they'll all be religious in nature. They'll find a little Mickey Mouse doll.
Yeah, that was a temple. That was a religious monument. That one, that shrine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's inevitable. And no, there was nothing. These are all just stories. People flying around. What in metal boxes? People no. Okay, that was just fantasy.
You know what, Mackie? I'm a an archaeologist, and I've dug up a stop sign, and it's got concrete still in the end, and it's a post and it's a stop sign, and I tell my boss, I found another one of these. What do you think it is? And of course they can't read English.
Yeah.
And what do those symbols mean? I don't know. I can't kind of work it out. So it's got to be religious. We're finding them everywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It sounds preposterous to us, but that's what we're doing basically with the history we are digging up.
And only very few scientists and specifically archaeologists are brave enough, in my opinion, to ask the uncomfortable questions, to look in places that everybody tells them not to look at, right? And ultimately, it is about making a buck in our society, right? It is not about pursuing truth or knowledge. That's completely irrelevant. If knowledge happens to fall out of the end of it, good for you. What we are pursuing is the bottom dollar, Everything else is the ugly afterbirth that you know. Can we make,
got to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we make a buck of it? Yes. Okay. Good. No, you're fired. Okay. And that's what happens. It is really that simple. Nothing. I don't care what people say. I don't care what their motivations are. What they say they have. I don't care. What the beliefs they have. If you're in the private sector, even in the public sector, but if you're in the private sector, the only motivation, the only thing that's driving you and anyone else in your business forward is making money. Oh no, we're helping humanity.
Lies.
Yeah.
My lie detector. I've got a lie detector on my phone. It's an app, and it was just buzzing, Mickey. What's that for?
I don't know. It's crazy.
It also has a sarcasm detector as well. So I was having a good conversation today, and that was about if there was a conflict and we did get hit by an EMP, for instance, or for whatever reason, doesn't matter whether it's a war or whatever reason, there's an EMP and we have all of our power across the planet is wiped out. Because you wouldn't just do it locally. You would do it yourself. Everyone would just go for that first because it's an easiest way to shut down comms, right? So you do that. And then we started thinking, well, how long would it take to get the power back? And then in that conversation came the realization that there's a set length of time of which no communication and no food would result in the people that would be running the power systems to go, I'm not going to work. My family's more important. And I think we boiled it down to between a couple of days and a week. That's it. That's all there would be. And we're not getting that power back. The military would have to, with their food and resources, have to step in and do it. But civilians, if there weren't any banks and you couldn't get petrol, you couldn't buy anything because there was no power, then you're just not going to do it anymore.
That's right.
The only thing tying our world in this civilization together as an active and participatory, an active system is electrons moving around against their will.
That's pretty much it. We are addicted to electricity. That's what we
can't live without it.
Yeah, people say we're addicted to oil. That's not true at all.
Yeah.
Oil, if we shut the oil off tomorrow, our civilization would still go on as long as we can produce electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters. We are electric. We are an electric society, electric civilization. Without electricity, everything stops. Everything stops. Just think about all the things in your life that need these enslaved electrons, as they've put it, to work. In fact, there's nothing in your life that doesn't require electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that should terrify you, right? Number one, I hope that you understand how electricity works. That's one. And two, I hope that you know how you can generate electricity if you really, really need it, right?
Rub
Those are
balloons
some
on your
things.
head.
Yeah, just it wasn't something about frogs and kites, wasn't it? What? Um, but look, it behooves us all in this community to understand electricity generation. That's really, really important for our continued survival, right? To be able to do that. Alternatively, learn to live without electricity, which is also a possibility. I mean, of course, that in fact, that's probably better if you can do that. But they're hand generators. They're generators that don't require much fuel. They're generators that can be run with vegetable oil.
Yeah, that's right. They're diesel, and you can run SVO.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%. So,
straight vegetable oil.
Yeah, just because the power goes out
mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we have to sit in the dark, right? We've come a long way, and all our power plants, all of them, generate electricity. That's what they call power plants, and they're using coal.
Yep.
They're using uranium, and this is like, and I always spoke about this, but I come back to it. The most astounding thing in my mind of our civilization, as I look at it, is that we are still using steam.
That's right.
To power our, and not only are we still using steam, no, we are using a nuclear reaction to create heat, to heat the water, to create the steam, to run our turbines.
Yeah.
So here we have uranium, plutonium, thorium, whatever, I don't care, right? And then we use that, bring it to critical mass, it gets really, really hot, and then we superheat the water.
Yep.
Right? And that drives our turbines like no tomorrow. And there we are. We've got a really, really big steam engine. Very sophisticated steam engine. Very dangerous steam engine. But a steam engine nonetheless.
It has all those qualities, Mickey.
Yeah, not Mr. Fusion. No. This is Mr. Fission. Okay? That's what we have.
Yeah, so there's no other. We haven't found a material that when exposed to radiation creates electricity. Like we can with silicon and solar panels. That's right. It can make an electron jump off the material with sunlight in a solar panel. I wish we had the same. That would be just tremendous. Then we could get rid of the steam. We wouldn't need that anymore.
We would just put it on everything. We just paint it on everything.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
And it would work. It'd be fine.
That's
It'd be all good.
That's right.
And look, there are other means to tap into power, I want to say, that have been completely oppressed, suppressed, and done away with, because, well, there's still good money in oil. You see, there's still good money in oil. And there's no interest, or there was no interest in developing any of it. And it might have changed the world as we know it for the last 100 years even. But no, that wasn't allowed to happen. And this goes right to the core of the problem of our civilization, which is the belief, still held by many, that capitalism actually works. Capitalism, my dear friends and family, does not work. Capitalism is a dead duck. And it's a dead duck because unbridled capitalism, which means unregulated and monopoly forming capitalism, will be the death knell for our civilization. Because greed runs it. Nothing but greed runs it. And greed abhors competition. Greed abhors trickle-down economics. Trickle-down economics. And I listened to this again the other day.
If any of my money, Mackie, is trickling down to the others, can we stop the leak?
Can we just build a dam? Why don't you? Anybody got a cork? I'm
not going to stick my finger in a dike, Mackie.
But more, no, you're nuts. It just break anyway. But
it's a Dutch tale.
Yes, it is. More and more, economists that I come across are saying exactly that. They're saying exactly that. Trickle-down economics, it's a fantasy.
Oh,
It does.
it's only an expression by the wealthy to make it sound like we're going to get something from their wealth in some way. And
and
my
more
example
people,
of stopping the leak, they don't want it to do that. They only want it from themselves. Is there's a vacuum we can get these leaks and vacuum up the money that's leaking? That'd be great.
and more people, truly, more and more people. I mean, obviously not the rich ones,
Mm-hmm.
are questioning billionaires. I mean, do we? I mean, what is? How can we? How can we possibly justify billionaires? Which brings me back to my initial point about the $100 million house. Now, if there are millions of people starving to death every year, which there are, yeah, this still happens, and then the diseases, preventable diseases, etc., etc., children as well as men, women, the elderly are dying, starving, not enough food, and I'm living in $100 million. Now, this is not the most expensive house in the world, mind you, right? The most expensive house in the world that I know about is a $1 billion house that was built in India right next to a slum, which was like a skyscraper that this Indian billionaire built for his family. I don't know how many stories, but it was a massive building. And of course, you put it right next to the slum because that's what you do, right?
Well, the land was cheap. I can build a tall enough building. They can't climb me outside and I'll be safe, right?
Oh, that's gold.
The slum's not going to rub off, is it?
No, not today.
Yeah.
And you have this opulence, this extravagant, I don't know, life that people have, and everybody else is. I mean, the movie, I think it was called Out of Time or something, or In Time or something like that. And it illustrates it perfectly, right? Where you have a certain amount of time that you get for your work, and that's your life. Your life. This is the time that you have to live. Nobody ages, but you have this time, and you just get enough to live for the next day that you can do your work, right? And whereas these others, the rich, they're hoarding this time, and one guy has got 1 million years hoarded somewhere, right? In a safe, and it's a beautiful analogy. It's funny enough that I think it's Justin Timberlake that's in that movie.
It's a great movie.
And he himself lives in a $100 million house, right? But it's a beautiful analogy when you think about it, because we are, in fact, seeing the direct result of what happens when the few live the dream on the back of the many. So billionaires can't exist without millions of people living in abject poverty. It's just because you have resources on the planet, and we're living, again, I keep saying it, we're living in a finite system. This is a finite system. Here, finite, okay? Even if we start exploring the solar system and start mining asteroids, it's still a finite system. And yet we act as though it isn't. And we have people hoarding this wealth, these resources for their own benefit. It's like the monkey. There was an experiment with monkeys. I know we only got a few minutes, but they give these monkeys a whole bunch of bananas, more than they could eat. It's like, I don't know how many, 10 chimpanzees. And the strongest chimpanzees would sit on top of the bananas and beat the weaker chimpanzees away, even though the bananas were rotting. And they couldn't eat them all, but they would not give the other chimpanzees bananas of their pile. That's where we are. Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah, it's
nice.
True. We're making waves, making.
I love it. Just
he's an
one
Aussie.
Thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good man. Yeah. Oh, one thing we all have to adopt now. We can't call these people the elite anymore. We cannot call them the elite. They're parasites. Parasites. A parasitic organism is one that will eventually kill its host. May not, but it certainly make it sick. And that's exactly what's happening here. These are parasites that are not adding anything to anything of value. Nothing. Zero. In fact, the less value you add, the more money you're likely to make. That's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing. I lie awake sometimes and I think about this. how did we let this happen? I guess, but then again, Dave, we have shows like Gladiator, so
Yeah, that's
anything is
right.
possible.
Keep them fed and entertained, Mickey. That's all we need.
Keep them fat, and entertained. Yes, I agree with you, man. And but look, it's always been this way that we know. Okay, well, this was another quick hour of Plato's Cave. As you all know, thank you very much for inviting us into your lives for this brief hour. I hope you have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you might be. And we'll speak to you again on Thursday. That's right. And most of all, though, be safe.